Okay, good morning. It is 9:03 and we are live.
All right, good morning, everybody. It's Friday the 13th. So it's February 13th, 2026. This is the pre-agenda meeting, and I think we should begin with Melissa. Let's talk about the March proclamation so we don't forget those.
Great. Sorry, I was on vacation. I just got back today.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
Do we need to take attendance?
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Roll call. Sorry, forgot about that. Mayor Betty Resch is absent. Vice Mayor Sarah Maliga is absent. Vice Mayor Pro Tem Mimi May.
Present.
Commissioner Christopher McFoy.
Present.
Commissioner Anthony Segrich.
Present.
Thank you, Mr. McVoy. I forgot about that. So now let's move ahead, if you guys don't mind, to have Melissa talk about the presentations for March.
So I sent this morning there are quite a lot of presentations.
Do you mean proclamations?
Proclamations. I'm sorry, proclamations. So there's American Red Cross Month, which we've done for many years. It was requested we do it again this year. I'll just go one by one, I guess. Or do you want me to do them as a group or?
Well, I think if you guys have you seen the emails, gentlemen?
I saw it go by. I didn't have time to look at it. I'm looking at it as we speak.
Same. Anthony?
I looked at it. I didn't have an issue with anything on there.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Instead of going through each one, is there anyone that we want to add and or take off?
Nope, I'm good with the whole lot.
Okay, I'm good with the lot. Anthony's good. So I think we have consensus that we're going to go ahead and do that. Melissa, those are great.
Okay, so my only question is, do we want to read all of them or only read the ones that we have requests for? So the ones we don't have requests for are Anti-Racism Month and Women's History Month.
Well,
I think
I'll personally put in a request for Women's History Month, so let's read that one.
And I think we could find certainly somebody to be present for the anti-racism one as well.
I think so too. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think we should read them all. Okay, so then going from there, is there anything else, Melissa, that we need to cover on your end?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, Jamie.
Yes, ma'am.
Before we get into things that we have, would you like to talk to us about anything that you have that we need to talk about today before Tuesday's meeting?
Only that I had to do an airport drop off down here in Lauderdale, so if I'm cutting in and out, please let me know. I had to pull over down here.
Okay, no, you're good.
Only thing we're gonna push out, I guess I'm asking, but there is an update we needed to push out on the presentation for Tuesday. None of the data is going to change. It's just like, for instance, like the property transfer schedule, it said like February 17th of 25, not 26.
So wait, hold on, just so people that are listening, which item are you talking about? Because there's a couple.
So this would be unfinished business D. Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, this is the update to the parking garage. So unfinished business C.
This is about the parking garage. Okay, so you're gonna update the.
Correct. So there's like the date from February 17th. It said 2025 on there. That needs to be updated to 2026. I know, and I think it was slide 6 or 7. I don't have it in front of me right now, but the orientation of 17 South M that's shown on the rendering, it actually is the face is actually facing the south side of the garage. It really should be oriented 90 degrees clockwise, so it's facing K Street. Again, not going to change the actual presentation itself, but that's something I think we should modify in the actual presentation, even though it's just a rendering. And I know that there were dates on there given, and William can probably chime in. The HRPB, there was a date given for that, but I know they've had some issues with form, and I think he said they hadn't confirmed for that March meeting that was shown. So that might have to push. And William, I don't know if you have an update on that date, but just some of those we need to modify. But again, the actual presentation itself, soft costs, everything else, that's not going to change. These are just smaller things. So we decided to keep it on unless you guys feel that it needs to shift because we do need to make those small changes. And William, if you can chime in.
I'm okay with it. Gentlemen, are you guys okay with it? Chris,
Yeah.
Anthony? Anthony's okay. Chris, are you okay with just changing some of the little details to make it clear and true? Can you not hear me?
I lost hearing of everybody actually for a little bit, including Jamie, although I could see he was speaking according to the little icon.
Okay, so what Jamie said is that there were a couple dates and an orientation of a building, a little modifications in the presentation for the K Street parking garage. And wanted to make sure it was okay that they updated that for the meeting on Tuesday.
Seems like a good idea.
Okay.
And then William, really quick, can you update us on the HRPB? I know the date that was shown in there, you said there was an issue with possibly a quorum or.
William Waters, Community Sustainability Director. No, we have not yet been able to confirm a quorum for the last Wednesday in March.
So we might pull that date off of the presentation since we don't know if that's going to actually happen yet or not, based on we don't have any confirmation on a quorum. So that might come off of the presentation instead of showing a date on there that may
So
happen.
it'll say that it needs to go through HRPB, but it won't have the exact date that it's going through.
Yeah, we can remove the actual date since we don't actually have that. I guess any kind of confirmation form for that meeting.
And I would assume that we might want to indicate then that the April 21 first city commission hearing would well, I guess it says it tentative already, because that might move because the HRPB has to happen ahead of that, I assume.
All of that would have to shift, correct?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so maybe we can put that there are the upcoming meetings and maybe don't put dates. Jamie,
Yes, ma'am.
does that make sense to just take off all the dates? Because if one is dependent on another, we don't want to have to then go back and change it again.
Yeah, we can list it so people know what the process needs to be.
Yeah, talk about the process,
Correct.
not necessarily the specific dates. Good. Anthony, is this about the K Street garage item?
Yeah, why don't we have confirmation of a quorum?
Because we haven't heard back from the members of the HRPB that they are available on the 28th. They have been contacted twice, is my understanding.
So who are the members that have not gotten back to us? Because this is very concerning.
I don't have that in front of me. Well, it's not a regular meeting. I will have to get back to you if I can get a hold of Sherry while you're having this meeting and find out.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, they are a member of a board. They should be answering. I don't know why we're not pushing harder on that.
I think, Anthony, William, I don't mean to speak out of turn, but it sounds like it's not a normal meeting at a normal time that they signed up for, but yes, they should be answering the calls.
I understand that, but you know, if we just sent them an email, give them a phone call, shoot them a text, get the answer. I'd rather have the answer than having to adjust dates and do all this stuff. We've got a lot of stuff that we have to get done. These boards, you know, they have to meet. That's it.
I would only note that we have 2 members of the elected commission that are not present today.
But they're at a mayor's conference, so it's not that they just blew it off.
Confirmed and not confirmed for those 2 meetings in March from the HRPB.
William,
All right.
we could,
Okay, there we go. All right, he'll get back to us on that. I don't disagree with you,
I've just
Anthony.
spoken to Sherry. She's going to try to get back to me who has confirmed and who's not by 10 o'clock.
And maybe call him again.
We will be doing that as well.
Awesome. Thank you, William.
Just keep in mind that at right now, unless some miracle happens, it will not be heard in March. But we're hoping.
Don't they have a regular meeting in March? Why can't they just do it at that?
That's the second Wednesday of month. We don't have a complete application yet, so we can't schedule the meeting or the developers meeting or any of that until we have a complete application, and we will not know the status of the application until you take action on Tuesday.
Got it, understood. Okay, staff, is there any other things that you want to go over before we get into us?
Not for me.
Okay, Elizabeth, anything from you?
Good morning. No, I don't have anything. Thank you.
Okay. Stuart, anything going on with leisure we need to know about besides the event this evening?
No, Sunset on the Ave kicks off tonight, 5 p.m. to 6:30, and then we are essentially 1 week out from the featured artist reception and street painting, and all systems a go. We've done our final operations brief.
Okay, if you guys would just allow me one thing about street painting. Stuart, is everything all set up with exactly who has what booth and where everything is?
Yes.
Okay, is there any room to squeeze in Habitat for Humanity?
I can ask in the 70-foot of the city's allocated space. I believe we might have 10-foot left. I'll have to double confirm.
Okay, if you do, can you let me know because they would like to set up for Women Build to get some signups and advertise some of the builds.
Okay.
Just
I
let me
will-
know, because I'm gonna talk to the head of Habitat after this, and I said I would ask.
Do they have their own sunshade? Like it's pretty much a 10 by 10. Do you know or?
I would assume.
Okay. I'll follow up with you.
Yeah, follow up with me. Thank you. Anybody else need anything from Stuart? Chris or Anthony? Anthony, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if they don't have their own sunshade, I have one that we
Oh,
can work
yeah, I mean, I don't think that's gonna be an issue. Let's see. Joan, are you there?
I am. Good
Hi,
morning.
Joan. Do you want to add anything regarding the agenda that's upcoming regarding the CRA part for it? A, and B, do you want to talk anything about what's going on with the Habitat houses? Are we getting those people into their homes? And is there anything the commission can do to make that happen?
Regarding Habitat and their homes, their construction manager just sent an email over to Williams Department today with some information. I don't know if it's complete or not. But we should be pretty close to getting at least the one family in the house. Not really sure what the time frame would be. William would have to answer that. And as far as the other things, I don't have anything unless anybody has a quick question.
Well, I do. I have a question because I was talking to, I'm in leadership with one of the Habitat women, and she was saying that what happened was that there was something with trees that were taken out 11 years ago before they even got the property, and they're being fined for it. Now, I don't know the whole story, and I'm sure there's 87 versions, but can we address that? Because if there's something that the commission needs to waive or something to get these people into their homes, I'd like to talk about that.
I don't want to say anything.
Is that an item we would need to bring up at a meeting, William, if we wanted to talk about it, or Elizabeth?
Well, right now, there's no legal avenue for you to do anything. There are 3 properties involved. Two of them are the same parcel under which Habitat began work on the property, cleared the site and cleared the trees before the building permit was issued and before they got comments regarding the landscape. That's 406 and 408 South C. The last pending item for 408 was a revised landscape plan to address comments that were provided back to Habitat in September of 2025. I got a notice of an email, but I don't have access to where it actually was submitted. I do not know the status of the payment of the outstanding penalty and fine. The other property at 223 South E Street had a demolition done several years ago. I don't remember how many, it's not 11.
Okay.
And at the result of the demolition, it appeared the whole property was cleared, including its trees, and there were notes made. That permit is still active. The house does not appear to be complete, and we have to work out what the penalties would be on that property since it's still pending. I believe we're going to go through and figure out what it would be under the new rules that you all approved that go into effect on Monday.
Okay, thank you. Elizabeth?
Good morning. I was just going to say basically what William said is just because you all have now adopted the revised penalties and mitigation schedule, we are reviewing these against those changes in the regulations.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I think we can open it up to discuss the agenda. So Anthony or Chris, do you guys have anything specific on the agenda that you want to talk about?
I have 2 items.
Okay, hold on. Anthony has, let's use the little hands. You want to wave and have Chris go first, Anthony? Okay, go ahead, Chris. This is about the agenda, right?
One of them is agenda, one of them is agenda related.
Okay, start with the one about the agenda so that we can cover all that first, if you don't mind.
Okay. This is questions with the pool discussion that's on the agenda. And one of my questions would be, would having the city put money into a pool at the high school, would that preclude having a pool at the beach? And I don't think it legally would preclude it, but in all practical terms, I guess I would be interested to know from staff, does it de facto preclude a pool at the beach if we were to go that direction, the high school? And I have some more questions related after that.
Okay, Jamie, you want to address that and also just kind of clarify what you're asking us to talk to, what the goal of having it on the agenda is, what is the expectation of the commission on Tuesday?
Yeah, so we obviously have the pot of money that's almost $6 million that's been set aside for quite a while now for the pool. If this is something that that you guys were interested in moving forward with, obviously that would go toward this project. Now, Commissioner McVoy, I mean, you're correct if you say, does it de facto kind of eliminate? It doesn't really eliminate anything, especially legally. It's just we would have to identify, if we still wanted to do something up at the beach, other funds in order to do that. If these funds went toward this particular pool, we only have one pot of money currently allocated towards some type of pool.
Okay.
And as far as the item itself,
yeah,
I kind of did a little bit of background in the actual agenda item itself of when the mayor and I had met with the school district and the superintendent and everything December before last. And this was something obviously with the high school pool closing down and them having not enough funds, us not having enough funds, possibly seeing if there was interest in doing a joint use between the district and the city for a public pool. We received just recently the rendering that concept that was included in the agenda item. But the main question is really, are you guys interested in looking into this further? Obviously there's a lot of details that would have to be worked out in a local agreement, all kinds of stuff. How's the annual maintenance done? Who's maintaining it? Like all these other things. But first and foremost, if you guys decide that it's pool at the beach or nothing, I mean, it's a very quick conversation. If there's no interest in having a pool in that particular location, at least that the city is involved in. So that's really where I'd like the discussion to kind of pick up to see if this is even something you guys are interested in at all. Before we put any kind of staff time or start meeting with the district and setting stuff up with all of you. And then obviously there's going to be a lot of public input and all this other stuff. So just didn't want to move forward before we had a basic conversation on, was this something you guys would be interested in?
Okay, so it's basically going to be, do we want to allocate any staff time towards this? Are we interested in finding out more and how it would work, and that we would be interested in partnering depending on the logistics and the
correct, and the location, and is that location something that everyone is okay with?
Okay.
We've heard most of the time it's always been pool at the beach. And then obviously with the open space master plan, we've talked about some other locations like Norfolk ball pits and some other stuff, but.
And I guess my point in saying that is that I don't want us to spend an hour getting into the weeds about exactly where the pool pump is going. So really, I want to clarify that what we're doing is saying, yes, staff, go ahead and talk to the school district and let's see if we can make this work in some way. Correct? Correct.
And Erica Whitfield did confirm she will be in attendance. She's going to come for that.
Excellent.
So.
Thanks, Jamie. Anthony?
What,
hold on.
can I wasn't done.
No, I know, but since you brought up the pool thing, Anthony, is this about the pool? Please go ahead.
Thank you. I think what's being shown could be a tremendous opportunity for our city, our children, our families, the high school, and the area. There's actually kind of a dead zone of usable pools for schools, and we fall smack in the middle of that. And this could really help out the community. In terms of the pool at the beach, you know, I think when we discuss that, we have to be real and talk about realistic numbers of what that would look like. And, you know, it's the pool at the beach is not a $6 million problem. We wasted a lot of taxpayer dollars on studies and renderings and so forth, with the hope and the dream that you could do something there for $6 million. You probably can't even remove the old pool concrete for $6 million. Maybe you could, but it'll be pretty close to that with all the environmental concerns. And the pool at the beach, I mean, that's a $25 million problem or more, depending on what we want to do. And so, you know, realistically, the only choice for a pool at the beach right now with this current city financials is some sort of joint venture, right? A public-private partnership. And, you know, unfortunately, the way our charter is set up, we're not going to get that unless, you know, that's why we provided for certain things within the referendum to make something like that possible. So this is a concrete example of the trade-offs, you know, that we're making. If people want a pool at the beach, the best option for that is to make it more desirable for a public-private partnership at the beach, because the financials don't work. This, I think, is a windfall for the city, that the district is willing to do this with us, and that we do have some money allocated to a pool. And, you know, a lot of there's many reasons why people wanted the pool at the beach, right? Some of them really wanted it to help our children, help them learn to swim. You know, we are a beachfront community. Our children need to know how to swim. You know, this pool won't accomplish everyone's beach pool goals, but I think it will accomplish a number of strong goals that we've had in this community for a long time. And I would hope that we move towards this opportunity and seize on it while we can.
Thanks, Anthony. Chris?
Yeah, thank you. I would be a little careful about black and white assertions that the only way that a pool could get done at the beach is a public-private partnership. That is one way, but there are lots of other possibilities. There are philanthropic possibilities. There are bonding possibilities. I'd be cautious about making categorical statement that in fact closes out some realistic other possibilities. I do think before we make a move I think it's pretty clear that if we were to move forward with something at the high school, we will never have a pool at the beach. And that is something that probably ought to be brought before the community to see, are they down with that? And then a piece of it is, as Commissioner Segrich rightly points out, a pool at the high school would not include a number of the things that people did have in mind for a pool at the beach. So we need, for the discussion on Tuesday, we need some clear, somebody prepared to provide some clear, especially legal answers. And the legal update that was mentioned that was not available when Ms. Whitfield came the last time to talk about it, but she said she was contacting, so I hope they will be available this time, is what would the public access be, given that this would be a school district property and on a school grounds? School grounds are typically locked up tight as a drum with serious fencing around them, and you have to you have to sign yourself in and get a picture taken to get into a school at this point. So what activities would be allowed? You know, can just the casual observer wander in off the street and go swimming? Would birthday parties be allowed? Would there be cabanas for people? Would there be food and beverages? All of that, we need to know what is allowed. And then we also need to know what sort of schedule would the public be allowed? Because when the Lake Worth High School pool was active in the past, there was a swim team, there was a dive team, there was a water polo team, and all of those teams had both practices and meets. So that pool had a lot of use from the school, which presumably would not be compatible with the public using it. And then there's a really general question: would the public be allowed to use it while school is in session? There are, again, for those security reasons, there's a question there. So I hope that we will have people available who can provide answers to these questions on Tuesday.
Thank you. Jamie, would you like to speak?
Yeah, I just wanted to, and those are all great questions, Commissioner. I just wanted to reiterate that we did not want to put a great deal of staff time into this if this is something where that location is not desirable. So again, all those questions are things we're obviously going to have to get to if this is something you guys would like to look into. But no, we have not gone down any of those avenues, as I mentioned before, as far as even like the maintenance and operation stuff. None of that's been discussed. Because we didn't want to get too far into this and then find out you guys are just like, absolutely not in that location on the street. We're not interested in that. And I also wanted to mention that this is just a concept. So you'd mentioned like the design and everything else. We have the ability to kind of look and say, well, can we modify the parking lot? Do we want to look at the splash pad? It's a concept. So there's a lot of things we can still have. But again, we just need to make sure that this is something in that location is something you guys would be okay with before we move any further.
But it's not just the location, and the concerns are not about how many parking spaces and whether it's on this side or that side. Is the pool green or is the pool blue? The question is, if we're going to give up on having a pool at the beach, before we make that decision to move forward on this, we need to know very clearly what kinds of things, what public access would in fact legally and policy-wise be available to the community. If it says, yeah, you can come in for an hour on Saturday afternoon once a week, well, no, I don't think the public's going to be too excited about that. If you can come in 24 hours a day all week long, and there's no problem if the swim team is using it, you can go ahead and use it. Well, that's different, but we need to know that before it's even a reasonable discussion.
And that's understood, Commissioner. I will say that unlike the old high school pool, this is obviously detached. It's still considered part of the campus, but it's not part of the main campus. So this is separated by 3rd Avenue South, which is where the intramural field and stuff are right now. Kind of like the tennis courts currently are on the basketball courts. Technically, if they wanted to open those up to the public, they could. Those are not part of the actual school campus. But again, this is all stuff that would have to be discussed.
Thanks, Jamie. Anthony?
Thank you. I would just like to remind Mr. McVoy, and he made some great points and some great questions. And just as he reminded me that, saying things in terms of absolutes is not really fair. He himself pointed out that we could have a philanthropic donation to get us a pool at the beach, in which case doing this pool would not preclude it. We could go out to bond, according to Mr. McVoy, in which case it would not preclude it. Or we could vote yes to improve our relationship with potential investors in the city and giving them favorable terms, which could result in a public-private partnership that could result in the pool. So we have, I don't see this as a one or the other. Given what the real cost of a pool at the beach would be, the utilization of $6 million of that is kind of a drop in the bucket. We would have to rely on any number of things, such as the bond, the philanthropic donation, or offering favorable lease terms to public-private partnerships at the beach to make it happen anyway, with that 6 million or without that 6 million. So
Noted.
I don't think it's taking one off the table or not.
No, I agree with you. And I think that that's why I asked Jamie to really clarify exactly what we wanted to talk about at this meeting. Do we want staff to go ahead and discuss with the school district all of the things that Mr. McVoy brought up, because I brought up the same things. And all of those things will need to be worked out, but if there's no interest at all in even pursuing it, there was no reason for staff to even go down and try to answer any of those questions. So I think direction on Tuesday should be either, yes, try to figure something out and see if it'd be favorable for the city to go forward with a project like that, or no, we have no interest ever of putting a pool there and being, I mean, the school district is welcome to do whatever we want. We as a city do not wish to participate. And I think that really is the only thing we need to vote about on Tuesday. I do understand all of your points, but I just want us to be clear in what's expected of us. And I think sometimes when we are at our meetings, we are being asked to do one thing and we go down a complete other rabbit hole that isn't what we're talking about on that date. So I just kind of wanted to clarify that. Mr. McVoy, what is your second item?
My second item is that and I couldn't tell you which meeting, but at a meeting recently, I was told that in response to the multiple people's requests from the public to have a special meeting for the commission to discuss immigration enforcement in the city, I should put together a draft agenda and submit it to the commission for their consideration and adjustments, improvements, whatever. And that then we would move forward with deciding whether we wanted to have a special meeting or not. And I just want to make sure everybody is aware that I did work with organizations and members of our community to put together such an agenda. It is basically, and this is a draft, this is a proposal, not, as I was requested. It's basically 3 parts, some statements of things that we as a commission feel strongly about, protecting public safety and going after hard criminals or whatever. Those are possible things at the front. Then some informational presentations to make sure that we all are starting with the same information base. And then the third part is some options for our consideration to see if we want to entertain any of those. I will note that the community requested, and I believe I included that in the transmittal, that they asked for it to be a dedicated special meeting, just one item on the meeting because it's a big enough topic, and to try to do it before March 12th. I have no idea where the March 12th date came from, but that was the request.
By
So I
whom?
relayed that.
By whom?
By various organizations that are, involved in these issues and aware of what's going on.
So I know that I have received this yesterday at 5. So I have not read through it, so I'm not ready to discuss it.
Yeah.
And I know that the mayor and the vice mayor may or may not have seen it yet. So I don't want to go in, but I like that you acknowledge that it has been sent, so the public knows that you did follow up and do your homework. We have it, and we will look at it, read it over, talk about it at our one-on-ones, and kind of decide where we want to go from there. Does that sound okay to you, Mr. Segarich?
Yeah, we were just in receipt of it yesterday. I have gone through it initially. I'm not prepared to give any comment yet, and obviously we don't have the mayor or vice mayor here.
So, but Mr. McVoy,
for doing that.
Thank you for doing that. Mr. Brown, would you like to address that?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we were already looking at special meeting dates in March for the landscape code. We had sent out that memo that Director Waters had put together. And Shayla had sent over some dates yesterday. It looks like the first date that was available was March 9th.
Okay. I don't want to even discuss dates to have this special meeting yet until everybody has reviewed it.
I'm just saying we have a couple of dates because we are already looking at the landscape stuff. So
okay.
But there's nothing for the 12th. I just wanted to mention that because that was brought up in the email.
I think he said before the 12th, so let's go ahead and look at that later. Elizabeth, are you in receipt of this agenda?
Yes, I have received the draft as well.
Okay, so before we decide what exactly what parts of the agenda we want to talk about, would you, and the rest of us maybe, if you guys are okay with this, I would like them to go through and see if there's anything on there that would legally preclude us from doing. Is there any legal reason why we couldn't do something that Mr. McVoy has suggested? Does that make sense, Anthony and Chris?
I think so. The only comment I would put in is, and obviously I'm not a lawyer and it would need legal review, but I believe it is well within our rights to say, hey, it is our wish as a community that X, Y things be done if law enforcement agencies are in our community. We probably almost certainly don't have the ability to say this shall happen in our community, but we certainly have the ability to say this is our community wish, and that I would think is an option and should be considered.
Okay, Mr. Segrich?
Yeah, there's definitely some things in asks in the agenda that violate state and federal law. I mean,
Correct.
they're clear violations. So those we'll have to discuss. You know, the laws are pretty clear on it. We cannot even adopt a policy. And a policy is basically the commission saying, we wish this to happen, not thou shall and everything else like that. That's an ordinance or so on. So it'll, you know, let's have legal take a look at it and they'll get back to us on the particulars. And I thank Mr. McVoy for spending the time putting that together. And we'll have a discussion and see where that goes.
Thank you. Anthony, do you have items on the agenda you wanted to discuss?
Yeah, I one quick question, and it might just be because I missed it. In the backup for unfinished B, we still, and it might just be because we included old backup in it, we still, on the mezzanine floor, the second floor of that building, we don't have a floor plan. We have a floor plan for everything else, but it's just a big empty open space up there. I don't know if I missed it or it's.
Thank you.
It has the first floor also has the mezzanine. It's one sheet. And it was attached, at least when I sent it in the backup.
Yeah, Commissioner Segrich, it's actually in the bottom left-hand corner of that page. It shows the floor plan for the first floor.
Great, thank you. I knew I probably missed it. That's why I just wanted to ask really quick so that I can go look at that. I do have something that's not on the agenda.
Okay, but let's just make sure we're good on the agenda. Chris, you're good?
I'm good on the agenda. I have a non-agenda item also.
Okay, so we're good on the, I don't think I have anything specific. I do have questions, but they can be done offline. So Anthony, what is your first item?
So we've asked for this a number of times. We still have not gotten it. That the list of priorities be made available to us and kept up to date. Right now, we still have to wait for that, you know, to get emailed to us. We requested to have it be a permanent link that we can access whenever. So I'm just wondering when that will happen. And then the second part of it is, you know, we're trying to schedule a special meeting on some topics, but we're not moving through our priority list. So I'm just wondering more or less, you know, what's the update on that list and why does it seem that we're not even following it?
Okay, thank you. I believe, Troy, you want to speak?
Yes, Madam Chair. Thank you. Commissioner, we're still working through it, trying to, like I said before, prioritize those issues that we can get done and, like we said, categorize them into things that have to be done. And there's no, you know, there's like an emergency, whatever the case might be. And from that, we're told, like we told you before, we'll put together, combine all the lists together and provide it to you. But as of right now, we're just still going through it and trying to make sure we cover everything. We got other issues coming up, so it's slowing us down, but we'll try to get that to you sometime next week if that's okay.
Well, we already combined that list. That's what I'm kind of confused. We already, the last time we wanted to get a copy of the list, it took almost 30 days. We got a copy of it. I would assume that continues to get updated. If it's not being updated,
it's
that's a
continuing.
problem.
If you want a copy of the combined list, we can give you that. But like I said at the meeting, that we were trying to go through it and eliminate those items that staff can take care of and make sure. But we can give you a copy of that list, and like we said, talk about getting the post.
Is there a way, Troy, to make it a shared document where
and we talked about that, and I believe based on discussion with the clerk, I think that's something we could probably do.
Yeah, I mean, we should be, even if we're, we shouldn't be able to change it, but view only would be fine. Okay.
But if that's what you want, Commissioner, we'll give you the combined list if that's what you want.
Yes, sir. But the clerk sends us shared links on SharePoint regularly. I get them for information requests that I ask for. I don't, this is one of those, I don't understand why it's taken so long. And maybe it's just an oversight or there's other priorities, but we've asked specifically for this. And it's been way too long for something that's very simple to do.
We'll take care of it, Commissioner.
Excellent.
Thank you. But let's go back to Anthony's point regarding the things that we have made decisions on. For example, I believe that we have made the decision, and even if we didn't, the state preempted regarding artificial turf. So is that, William, something that you are bringing forward on your landscape meeting?
There are some rules that are pending coming from the state with regard to artificial turf, and we've been waiting on those to bring them forward. One of the questions that is still outstanding is whether the commission is open to allowing artificial turf where we currently require living landscape. And therein lies part of the confusion and conflict, is that right now we don't allow the artificial turf where living landscape is to be required. We do allow it in impermeable surface areas and areas that are not in the front yard, but I believe the state legislation that's coming down is going to put some impact on us that we need to consider or talk about in furtherance of the landscape regulation review, where it might be appropriate for artificial turf to be used in place of living ground cover or turf, or as right now, mulch.
Okay. Anthony?
We had a meeting on that topic. We voted on that topic. I didn't necessarily agree on all of our decisions, but we came to a compromise on that topic. And I understand the state preempted us, but to say that we still have to decide whether we were allowing it or not is not true. We already made a decision on that. I think we're relitigating the same things. And I understand William wants to get the landscaping stuff taken care of, and I do too, right? But again, I return to, why is that deserved of a special meeting? And we have stuff, like you said, Commissioner May, that we voted on. We voted on the artificial turf stuff 7 months ago, probably, and we haven't seen anything back, right? And if it's the state preempted it and we can't actually make any rules, then why are we even having the discussion? Why don't we just put a line in there that we follow the state's regulations? Now, they have not released all of theirs, right? So in that event, and this was the conversation we had at that meeting, because I brought this up, why are we even talking about it when the state's going to preempt it? And I was told that, that's, it's not a sure thing yet. And then like 2 weeks later, the governor signed it, obviously. We need to just get that stuff done, and had we not waited 7 months, we probably wouldn't have to talk about it again. There's other things, like we made a decision on short-term rentals. Where is that ordinance? It's been 9 months. And so, I don't want to have a special meeting on new stuff until the old stuff we voted on is taken care of. So let's have a special meeting for all the ordinances that we voted on prior to this, and let's get those signed before we take on new stuff.
That of course sounds reasonable on the face of it. However, there may be things that have a time sensitive aspect to them that might need to come up before some of those because some of those might not be quite as time sensitive.
Understood, Mr. McVoy, and that's a valid question. So William, is the landscape special meeting time sensitive? Is there something earth shattering we should know coming down from the state that requires us to do that before the other business that we've completed?
No, it just been due to all the controversy, conflict, consternation about the landscape regulations over the past probably since I've
Understood.
been here.
Understood. Believe me, nobody wants this meeting more than I do. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say
We'll have to
nobody.
consider a higher price because the proposal was provided to us in November, December, and it's now several months later. So whether the contractor would actually stick to that bid or not, I don't
And
know.
that's, just, we said we don't want to hire a contractor to do this yet until we get through and understand this problem. But the problem for me is, and this is my question for staff, when are we going to see the things that we've already voted on? I personally don't want to take on something new that isn't, as Mr. McVoy said, there are things that come up that are time sensitive that we have to do, that legislative we have to get done, or for the running of the city. This is not one of them. And, it's tough for me to say that on this because this is one of the items that I desperately want to get to. I do. I campaigned on it. I strongly believe in it. I understand, William, that your team's been getting beaten up on these things, and I think we have to do it. It's a super high priority for me, but we have to finish the things we've already voted on. And it seems like it's Groundhog Day because those topics get brought back up as if we didn't vote on it, like artificial turf. Why are we going to have another discussion? We already voted on where we thought it should go and not go. We already voted that it can be used instead of ground cover in the backyard. We already voted on, I believe, a certain percentage of the front yard that it can be used. Now, the state might come in and that might end up being conflict with that, and that's kind of a special case and so on. But we should have had that ordinance back before it became a problem. And, so again, I don't want to schedule, it's great if we have time for that special meeting. Let's make that special meeting catch up and let's get through all the things that we've already voted on and get those ordinances out and get them done because people are waiting on them. And that's not fair.
Right. And there are people with it does seem kind of trivial in terms of, some of the other greater topics that we are discussing within the city. And I don't want to compare immigration with turf. So that's not what I don't think that's what you're saying, Anthony. But I do think that, and Elizabeth, maybe you can answer this because I'm not sure. So when we vote on something at a meeting, what then needs to happen legally for it to go into effect? Because like when we voted on the stuff for the permitting that we voted on last time, it's going to go into effect 10 days later. So how does it differ?
Apologize, it's a little noisy here. So when you vote on an ordinance, when you adopt the ordinance, it goes into effect 10 days later.
Okay.
When you give direction from the dais for us to draft an ordinance, we have to go draft the ordinance and then do the public hearing process before it would be effective. So some of these discussions, like artificial turf and short-term rentals, have been through the initial discussion with the commission, but those ordinances are either not drafted or in the process of being drafted, so that those will still come forward to you for adoption, and then they would be effective.
Okay, so when we voted on this, which I do believe was it was right after Anthony was elected, so it had to be April, May, somewhere in there, and now we're in February. Is there a specific reason? Like, I don't understand, why does it take 9 months to write an ordinance about turf?
Well, the artificial turf specifically, because of the legislation that came down, we were waiting for DEP to do their rulemaking so that what we were adopting was consistent with the rulemaking that we have to comply with. DEP has not finished their rulemaking, so that's been a hang up on that one. The short-term rentals is in process. We're working through that to bring that forward to you, hopefully soon.
Okay. And I have Chris and Anthony. Anthony, is this still about what you were talking about before? And Chris, are you adding to this conversation, or you want to bring up your other thing? Because I know we have 7 minutes left.
Yeah, I'd like to bring up my other thing before we.
Okay, so hold, give me 2 minutes. Anthony, go ahead and finish what you're talking about for 2 minutes, and then we'll go over to Mr. McVoy.
Yeah, so, with the artificial turf, again, in that meeting, that exact point was brought up. Why are we taking action? Because the legislation is coming. I didn't agree with it, but the dais made the decision to say, no, put this stuff in place. And then staff took it upon themselves to say, wait. And I have a problem with that. Good, bad, or indifferent. I thought it was the wrong decision for us to do and a way to take action. I basically wanted them to say, follow the state legislation, right? But the dais made a decision and staff took it upon themselves not to act on it.
Right.
As far as the short-term rental stuff and other things, there's no excuse for it to take 9 months. I can't wrap my head around it's in process. That's not an excuse. And, something has to change. We have other directives that we've given from the dais.
I'm gonna interrupt you because we get it. And I agree with you. And I think the public hears you. I don't want to belittle whatever the word is, this point right now, only because we have 5 minutes, if you don't mind. Thank you. Chris, can you go ahead with yours?
Yeah, we are, as I think is no news to anybody, a coastal city. So we are very directly affected both at the beach and through the intercoastal that's hydrologically connected to the ocean. We are directly affected in our city by what happens with sea level rise. We are also in a high hurricane area, so we are very much affected by any changes in hurricane behavior. We are also dependent on rainfall for a certain amount of our water supply. So we are affected by changes in both evaporation and rainfall. So I believe it is extremely relevant that yesterday the Trump administration is trying to undo, and I guess has most of the way done it, undo what is called the endangerment finding, a 2009 scientific conclusion adopted by the Environmental Protection Agency that in 2009 listened to worldwide science, overwhelming majority of scientists, overwhelming amount of research, and it's just straight physics, that concluded that greenhouse gases, primarily CO2 and methane, are a danger to human society and that we need to take action to remove that. I'm looking at I call it the Mauna Loa curve because it's measured on a high spot at the Mauna Loa Observatory in Hawaii. It's also called the Keeling curve for the scientists to start.
What do you want us to do with this? I hear you, but I don't want to have to cut you off later on.
Okay, then let me finish. And I just want people to be aware that this reversal of the endangerment finding very much affects our health and safety in our city, in currently and in the future, because it affects our ability to drain our streets. It affects our ability to provide water for our things. And what I was going to say about the Keeling or Mauna Loa curve is, in my lifetime, it's measured CO2 in the atmosphere, very well regarded. Somebody here says some people regard it as the most important scientific work of the 20th century. I don't know, you could argue that one, but it is a remarkable data set. In my lifetime, it was started right about when I was born, the concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere was about 310 parts per million. Today, it is about 430. The increase is
Point of order.
unambiguous.
Yeah, point of order. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop you.
Discussing city business.
This is very much
important. But write a blog article about it. Can I address my concerns?
Yeah, I'm going to stop you, Chris, because I agree with Anthony, point blank. I think what you're saying is important. I think they put it up on Facebook. I think we can discuss it later, but it's not a pre-agenda item unless you have something specific that you want us to do, and you're not telling us that. So I'm going to stop you there. Anthony, you have 1 minute or 2 minutes, and then we're done.
Very quickly, from the dais, we voted to set a policy that code enforcement was to be business friendly and to figure out a way of not holding up business licenses while there were non-life-threatening code infractions going on. That has not happened. I'm getting calls and calls and calls and calls from good businesses in our town, largely in and around their signage. I've done research and I understand they are in violation, and we have to work through that. But we are withholding their business licenses and costing good businesses in our town tens of thousands of dollars. And we are not following the policy that was set by this commission. So I asked Jamie yesterday to look into why that's happening. While we have William on here, I would ask, to my colleagues, I guess consensus or direction. I want to know, why isn't our policy being followed, and when is it going to start being? Because
okay, I'm gonna hear you, William. You don't have to answer that right now, because we would like an answer, but I'm not going to put you on the spot with 1 minute left.
And I have an update on the HRPB. We have one member who is in conflict because they are an affected party. We cannot get a quorum for either the 25th of March or the 18th. We are shooting for the 8th and the 15th. One of our members is actually in the hospital having open heart surgery, and 2 others. So the soonest we're probably going to have is the 8th. The other thing is that, and I brought this up, is that current code, the law of the city, is that business licenses cannot be issued if there are existing code violations, liens, open permits, a whole variety of things. If your direction was, as I understood it, we're going to bring back to you an ordinance that changes chapter 14, and I think it's chapter 2, that eliminates all of that, so that those business licenses can move forward without that preemption, or not preemption, but prohibition within the code now that states that all things have to be copacetic before a business license can be issued.
Okay, let's continue that conversation on Friday. We are out of time today. I want to thank staff for being here and for answering our questions. And Christopher and Anthony, thank you for your questions and coming prepared. And I hope everybody will come tonight to the Sunset on the Ave. It's from 5 until 6:30, followed by the band marching us down the street to go to J Street. If you are wanting to attend the J Street party, it is a ticketed event. It is $10 now until 1 o'clock. And if you want to purchase at the door, it's $15. So I just wanted everybody to know that. And with that, the meeting is adjourned.